Welcome to the Bucket Plan on Demand, a podcast for financial advisors based on the best-selling book and process that simplifies financial planning. Hear from skilled industry professionals and special guests each episode that will help perfect your approach with clients and your results.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Schlumbohm, Vice President of Sales here at C2P and Prosperity Capital. I'm so excited to be here with our guest, Jeannie Burlowski. Jeannie is an academic strategist, podcast host, speaker, and author of Launch: How to Get Your Kids Through College, Debt-Free, and Into Jobs They Love Afterwards. I'm so excited about this. She helps parents and financial advisors guide students ages 12 to 26 towards debt-free college and meaningful careers. Her expertise has been featured in the Huffington Post, USA Today, Parents Magazine, U.S. News and World Report, and on CBS News. How exciting! Our topic today is protecting your clients' retirement from rising college costs. And what a timely time to have this conversation, Jeannie. So welcome. It is really common to see advisors put a high focus on retirement conversations, but not as much on college discussions when applicable. Where do you see college decisions effectively undermining retirement security?
Financial advisors are really aware of this. They're aware that the number one block to a confident retirement is college costs, especially unnecessary college costs. But the problem for a financial advisor is they think, I don't have 200 hours to put into training to be able to shepherd everybody through this. And hey, the FAFSA form changed in 2023. It's different than it was when I went to school. I don't know what to tell people. And so financial advisors need a place to be able to send people where they can say, just follow the clear, easy instructions right here. And I'll be there to check in with you at key points along the way. And I love it when financial advisors say to their clients, any client that's got a kid between the ages of 12 and 26, I'm not just here to help you plan for retirement. I'm here to guide you to the things that matter most in your life. And for most of us, that's our kids. It's their education, their careers, their future financial stability. Here, just follow the clear, easy steps here. I'll be calling you to check in at key points along the way. And parents love this. And what I hear parents saying is, the mom and the dad will say, Jim and I could never talk to each other about money. We just could never talk about it. All we did was argue until it became a kid thing. And when it became a kid thing, then the mom will say, then we decided we were going to get serious about coming together and strategizing. We want our kid through college debt-free because we love the kid. And wow, if that leads to a better, stronger, more confident retirement, all the better. But it often, for a lot of parents, starts with the kid.
Where do you see college decisions effectively undermining retirement? And I have to say this, Jeannie, I love the Minnesota that came out of you when you did the mom voice.
Right. I am from northern Minnesota. Oh, Jim and I. Oh, yeah, we never talk about money. No, we just don't go there. Yeah. So what undermines a confident retirement? Here's the worst thing. The kid goes off to college with no plan about what they're going to do when they're done. And there's nobody helping the child to determine career goal so that they can make sure that they're going through with not one wasted dollar, not one wasted class. They're like an arrow straight toward a bullseye. I mean, the college doesn't benefit by having kids know their career goals ahead of time and get through fast. They don't have any reason to help people with that. That just cut into their financial coffers. Mm-hmm. And so it takes parents saying, we're going to get some help to figure out where this kid, what this kid wants to do so that we make sure there's not one wasted class. And when I really think about what undermines retirement, it's when the kid goes through, they get a political science degree. And then they hate it and they can't find a job in that field. And then they come back to mom and dad and say, you know what I really want? I discovered my passion now that I'm 25 and I want a nursing degree now. Will you pay for me to have a nursing degree now? And the parents love the kid. course they're going to say yes. And we see this happening all the time, over and over and over. So what we want financial advisors to do is say, we're going to point you to a place where it's going to be easy and inexpensive. We're going to do career assessments early on so that your kid can know where they're going and go straight through fast. Not one wasted dollar, not one wasted class.
Well, and college today is so much more expensive than when we went, Jeannie, because it was $5,000 a year for room and board when I went to Iowa State. And when my niece just graduated a few years ago, it was $25,000 a year. And that was tuition. So it has increased. And I am an accidental tourist in the financial services arena. I studied sociology, says I want to save the world. But I somehow landed in financial services, fell in love, and I can help people with financial services and volunteer because I make a good living. But Parent Plus loans are becoming a long-term liability when it comes to our retirees. How could you dive into what Parents Plus loans entail and how they can wind up hurting our retirees? I know they love their kids. They want them to get the best education and be successful, but it's kind of derailing their retirement.
Yes. Parent Plus loans have always been dangerous, and now they have gotten more dangerous. And I'm going to talk about what has always been the case, and then I'm going to talk about a shift and change. It's really important for financial advisors to know about. And what I'm about to say gives financial advisors a reason to call people, who are current clients and people who are prospectives and people who you have never talked to before about their money. You want to call them and say, do you have Parent Plus loans? Because I want to touch base with you about that. So here's what Parent Plus loans have always been. The parent takes out a student loan in the parent's name, and then the parent is obligated to pay that loan off, even if the kid doesn't get up and go to class, never gets a degree, never gets a job in their field. So we have seen, since Parent Plus loans were instituted, some parents paying for 25 years on loans for their kid to go to college. And sometimes the kids have said, oh, mom and dad, I'll pay those loans. But then kids don't pay the loans. And that's an interruption to the parent-child relationship. Nobody wants their mother calling them every month and saying, did you make your student loan payment? It's I took out that Parent Plus loan. You said you'd pay it. But now the situation has gotten more dangerous. Because of changes in federal legislation in 2024, there's a special date coming up, and it is July 1st, 2026. And I said that wrong. Because of federal law changes in 2025, there have now been changes to the structure of Parent Plus loans. And so a special date is coming up, and that special date will be July 1st, 2026. At that point, special protections that used to exist for Parent Plus loans are going away and will never come back. And here's the protections that are going away. It used to be if you were a parent, you're paying on this terrible 25-year student loan, and all of a sudden you got cancer or your house caught on fire, you went through a divorce, you lost a business. You could say, hey, I'm in devastating financial circumstances. Can I have a lower payment? I just can't make this payment anymore. Now that I'm 60 or whatever. And you could actually get a lower payment, and they would let you pay the lower payment. And then after 25 years, it would all be forgiven, whatever you hadn't paid after 25 years. That's all going away. And so now parents will be expected to pay the full amount of the Parent Plus loan. And if they cannot, Social Security checks will be garnished, and a number of scary things will happen that I'm not going to go into here. So here's the solution for financial advisors listening today. I have written an article. It's free and available to the public. It'll be very informative to financial advisors who are looking for a reason to call people up and say, I can be helpful. Just Google my last name, which is Burlowski. It's Burlowski. Google that with the word Parent Plus loans. And it'll come right up on the top of the first page of the Google results. And there's an article I wrote about this. It's so gentle and so kind. And then it links to a page where I actually walk people through, here's what you need to do by April 1st, 2026. You need to take these certain steps in order to protect yourself, because parents who do will be able to refinance these loans. They'll be able to put them in a different category is the way that I'll describe it. And with those loans in a different category, the protections will continue. But people who do not take this action, and it's a little complicated, which is why I wrote it carefully out in a page of instructions. People who do not take this action by April 1st, 2026 will not be able to meet the deadline of July 1st, 2026, and they'll really be out of luck. So to find more help on this, advisors, and to help your people, Google my last name, which is Burlowski, and the words Parent Plus Loans, and you'll get right to it. Does that answer your question, Kirsten?
Wow. No, you're just blowing my mind right now, because when I think about April 1st, it feels like it's a long ways away, but we're kissing March 1st. We're almost there. July 1st is fast approaching. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to put this on my social pages for my friends and people in my age group that have done this for their children so they can protect themselves as they're looking towards retirement in 15 to 20 years. So
yes,
thank
and
you
I
for
need
that.
to add a little thing to this, Kirsten. It might not just be your friends. It could be their parents that took out these loans. Because if you think of any human who has been in college for even one day since 2001, in the last 25 years, any person who's been in college for one day, their parents might have taken out a Parent Plus loan for them. And it could have been refinanced. It could have been turned into a different kind of loan, but it's still sitting in there and it can still cause problems. And so in my page of directions, I talk to people exactly how to figure out, do you have any that are hidden now under different labels, and exactly what can you do about them? So I'm glad you're putting this on your social pages. Just find that article I wrote, post that, and that's the first step everybody needs to get where they need to go.
One thing we do really well here is our education. We believe that by educating our advisors, they're educating their clients. And this fits right in there, because if we can educate on this opportunity, that when we're doing our concerns and priorities worksheet with our clients or our prospects, we can uncover this, and then we can show them how they can help themselves prevent a event in the future. It's powerful. It's so powerful. You do argue that debt-free college is possible, even without scholarships or
Yes.
large savings. From a risk standpoint, what are the biggest cost control mistakes families make? Because again, when I was going to college, it felt simpler. Things are a lot more complicated now. But how can we help avoid these pitfalls?
I love how you say cost control mistakes. What are the mistakes that parents are making that put giant leaky holes in their bucket? And I'm going to bring up two here. One is too many students are going through college with no sense of career goal. So someone told them at some point, take random college classes to see what you're interested in. If you like economics, maybe you should be an economist. And what this has done is it's caused people to waste thousands and thousands of dollars taking classes they're not interested in, that they're never going to need. This is the 21st century, and we don't have to have people pick career goal that way anymore. What I prescribe, and I've been an academic strategist for 25 years. A strategist helps people set a goal and figure out the fastest, least expensive way to get there. And so I prescribe that I want students who are 15 years old, or as soon as possible after that. Even age 28 is not too late. Age 55 is not too late, but 15 is optimal. I want students taking 3 career assessments. I want these kids taking the Myers-Briggs type indicator and the strong interest inventory and the Clifton Strengths Assessment, which used to be called Strengths Finder 2.0. And I want students to have these converged so they could see. And I'm just going to tell you what one kid that I met with him and his parents this last Friday. And he came out of there saying, oh my goodness, I can see 2 things in these assessment results. I can see that I am so geared for mechanical engineering, but at the same time, I have this big bent towards sales. I can sell anybody anything, and I love it, and I'm exhilarated when I'm talking people into things. And when we converge those 2 things, this kid is 15. And he says, I'm going to get a mechanical engineering degree, and then I'm going to take every single communication sales class I can. And I want to be a technical engineer, is what it's called. It's a person who goes out on a sales call with the regular engineer, with the regular salesperson. But the sales engineer knows all the tech and can explain it. And this kid, because he knows this about himself at age 15, he can pick his college program beautifully. He can start getting internships. He can start reading books 3 years earlier than most kids do. So this is a really key thing that keeps the bucket from leaking. Because for any parent listening, and I know we've got financial advisors here who are parents themselves, you don't want your kid to go through college and get a political science degree and then hate it and realize they're not well suited to it. Then they want to go back to college and get a nursing degree. That's where the huge waste of money comes in.
Well, growing up, I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, but then I realized I had to work with sick animals. So that was not going to be a good fit for me. So I love the fact that we've got courses that this rising generation can take before they even go to college to help determine that. I mean, I took walking for fitness in college to get some credits done. And I'm like, that didn't do much for my career, but gosh, I feel good.
Yeah, that's a good one. There are many other ways in which parents completely waste money that it unnecessarily. And I think I want to bring up one that is helpful for anyone who's got a kid 9th grade and up. We want to teach these kids to be brilliant, frugal money managers so that when they get to college and they're making buying and spending decisions as college sophomores, juniors, and seniors, they are thinking frugality. They have that built into their heads. I get the best deal. I am a person who is frugal to a fault so that I can save as much money. And then we're same time teaching those kids about putting their earned income into a Roth IRA. Well, I prescribe that I want parents to give their kids an allowance and give them an allowance that's just barely enough to cover their shoes and their clothes and their football fees and their church youth group nights out eating pizza and all of that. And give the kid a certain amount of money and tell them, just make it stretch, honey. I'm old and I'm tired and I don't want to manage your money anymore. Here, you manage your own money. And at first the kid just thinks they're rich because the parent's just handing them money. But then they quickly find out the value of $1 and they start doing things like, Dad, did you know there is a place and it's called the Goodwill? And they have exactly the kind of shirts I wear to school every day, except they're only $4.99. But wait, Tuesday is Senior Citizens Day at the Goodwill. So Grandma's going with me. She's going to show her driver's license and I'm going to get all my school clothes for 50% off. And you're like, I think I am the most brilliant parent in the world because I set this up. So I have an article about this too. I'm going to say this, but I don't want it to distract any advisor from looking at that Parent Plus loan article. But this one's pretty exciting for a parent, and it's called A Hilarious Way to Make Kids Eager to Apply for Scholarships. And it's this article I wrote. I describe this allowance system, and I say in there, hey, when your kid runs out of money and they don't have any money for prom tickets, you could say, well, I would pay you $50 for every scholarship application you fill out in a quality manner. Now, I'm usually about debt-free college without scholarships, but parents just laugh at this idea with joy and think this sounds like so much fun. And anyone can find that article by just Googling my last name, which is Burlowski, and the word hilarious, and you'll get right to it. So you want to do 2 things, and I think that's 2 things that make the bucket leak.
Now, you started going down the pathway of teaching your kids how to be frugal and giving them their allowance. How can advisors help clients think about college planning as a balance sheet strategy, not just a cash flow decision? Because I kind of feel like you're warming up for this question with talking about giving them their allowance and helping them understand they only have X amount of dollars for the month. But how can we help clients think more broadly?
More broadly, I like how you put that. So whenever we're working with anyone on behavior change, there's always 2 things we have to deal with, short-term and long-term. And this is why I so want people going to financial advisors The book I wrote, which is Launch How to Get Your Kids Through College Debt-Free and into Jobs They Love Afterward, it tells people 33 times, go and talk to your financial advising professional. And that's because it's the financial advisor traditionally that helps us to see the end game, the long goal. How is this all going to work out for you? If you take the decisions you're making today, how's that going to work out 30 or 40 years from now? And we all know here how important that is. That's the long game. But then there's also the short game where we're wanting a family to think about clever money strategies every day. We want them living in this world of we're frugal, we're saving, we're investing. And this hilarious strategy where you give the kids the allowance and expect them to just live on a small amount of money, what it does is it keeps more money in the parent pocket because parents don't have to respond to whiny requests for money anymore. I just have to have these shoes. Everyone at school has these special shoes and you tie the laces in a certain way and they're awesome. And the mom can just say, oh, if you've got the money for it, I'm all for it. I think it sounds great. And the kids having to constantly have these internal conversations. Is this worth the money? Well, if I scrimp here, then I can do something better here. And so it becomes money management becomes a daily part of the conversation. Parents save a tremendous amount of money because they're not just a fountain of money for kids who are hard to say no to. And then the kids end up with these great, exciting skills. When you see your kid come home from the Goodwill with a bag of shirts for $8 and the whole family's laughing like we just got away with something. It turns what could be drudgery and boring, and it turns it into something that's kind of exciting and fun. And so financial advisors who just tip people off to this idea, they get the family thinking about money, and then the family's coming in for appointments, and then the advisor can plan out the long haul. And that's what we love.
I love it because I'm thinking to myself, I have a running shoe fetish because I do love buying running shoes. And if they're bright pink, they end up in my house somewhere. And I'm like, "Ugh, maybe I need to put myself on my own allowance. So I'm being frugal with my running shoes. But I love it because I think when you do give the children ownership of this pot of money where they can say, I can either buy my running shoes or pay for prom or buy the chocolates I love to eat, and they have to make their own decision, they're going to make better decisions because it directly affects them. Now, one thing we do really well, and one of the things we're known for here at C2P and Prosperity Capital is our bucket plan strategy is a holistic approach to financial planning. How can advisors help clients think about college planning through the lens of the bucket plan, which is the now bucket, the soon bucket, and the later bucket? Because if we're always putting our children first, because we love our kids, we love our families, so they always come first, we come second. How do we retool this in those three different buckets?
And this is why I just love this whole bucket planning strategy, now, soon, later. And this podcast is so popular among financial advisors because of that. You guys don't approach financial advising like it's all way off in the future, but you're always talking about how we can make this real and how we can make this beneficial to people right now today. Because when people really do get involved in their own financial planning right now today, they start to feel like it's exciting and they want to do more. And so to answer your question kind of in specific, this whole idea about this allowance strategy where the kids have to live on a small amount of money, here's an interesting thing that'll happen. The kids really start to struggle financially because they've got this internal drive. I want this. I don't have enough to get it. And what we're seeing is that kids, as soon as they legally can, many of them are going out and getting W-2 jobs. So they're working part-time jobs, during the summer for sure, but even during the school year, kids are saying, I will clean the toilet in a pizza restaurant. And you're thinking, my kid would not clean a toilet at my house. But we're seeing strangers pee off the seat at the pizza restaurant. And the kids kind of in their mind, they're like, I'll do anything for money because my parents aren't giving it to me. And so kids are going out and getting part-time jobs really young. A young, composed young woman goes out and she's got a job as a hostess at a restaurant. Well, what does that lead to? The kid gets a part-time job. Then we can start talking to them about, you have a little earned income now. Would you like to know what a Roth IRA is? You could take just a tiny fraction of your earned income every year, put it into a Roth IRA. And the minute the kid says, oh, I don't want to just save for retirement, that's a million years away. Someone can say to the kid, do you realize if you have a Roth IRA open for 5 years, you're able to take money out tax-free, penalty-free, and use it for a down payment on a house? And if you were lucky enough to marry someone that had the same idea, you have double the amount of money for a down payment on a house. So what that does is it takes this long end game goal of retirement that's so far away, and it reels it in and it pulls it into the nearer future. Oh, this could be how exciting for me. I'm 14 years old. I could be 19 years old and pulling some money out toward a down payment on a house. We start to build into the kid's brain this image of them being a responsible saver, investor, ahead of the game, ahead of everybody else. And in this day and age, kids need hope. And they need something to shoot for, and they need something exciting to look forward to, and so do parents. And financial advisors who do this are really being the source of this.
And I love this too, because the financial advisor working with parents and helping the kids are a real person they can talk with, not an influencer on TikTok that talks about the millions of dollars that they made, but they don't tell you how much they lost or what they didn't share with you, what was given to them to get there. But this is real conversation, real talk, not only educating the parents on their own retirement, but helping kids be better stewards of their own financial future. Not that they're not going to make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. That's part of growing up. But it's amazing that you can have these conversations and then help that next generation, because heaven forbid something happens to their parents, you know their kids already. You have that relationship and you guide them into that next season if something does happen.
Can you imagine the kid who's 28 years old? Little kids are 28 years old. They're finding out about a Roth IRA and putting their earned income in there. They get the maturity by that point. Imagine your kid is 28 years old and people start talking about, oh, you have a Roth IRA, put your earned income in there. Do you know what compound interest is? And your kid says, well, I've been doing that since I was 14.
Those are my bonus sons. That's what they've been doing. My bonus sons have been doing that since they were young. To their mother and my husband, they did a phenomenal job educating them, but we need more of that. And that's why we have someone like you to work with our advisors on the education. When should financial advisors intervene in the college decision process to prevent expensive emotional choices? Because if all my friends are going to X school and I don't get in, I could cry and maybe be upset and I want to go to this school, but now it's 2 times the cost. When do we start this conversation?
I love that you're saying, when should financial advisors intervene? Here's when you don't want to do it. You don't want to wait until it's the senior year of high school and the decisions are being made and kids have to commit to a college on May 1st. Even just the 3 months before that, people think that's when college decisions are made. But actually, the groundwork for massive success is laid well before that. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound scary for 1 second, but then I'm going to make it feel better. Financial advisors can actually get involved when kids are in middle school. And the book that I wrote is the table of contents is laid out according to a kid's current month and year in school. So there's a whole chapter called Prior to 7th grade. And then there's one called May of 8th grade, September of 9th grade. And it goes through, people read a chapter about every 3 months as their kids are growing up. Now, the magic is people can jump in at any time. A segment in that chapter that says, you know what you could do right now? You could get yourself out of debt right now. Because when your kid goes to apply for financial aid, your debt burden isn't going to be taken into consideration at all. And right there in that prior to 7th grade chapter, it talks about go and see a financial advisor right now and ask them, what is a 529 college savings plan? Because we'd like to start saving bit by bit, even if it's only $20 a month. And then when we get a raise, we'll increase it a little bit. So we're sending people to advisors really early. You ask me, when should the advisor intervene? What my recommendation is that a financial advisor looks at their client list and identify what are the ages of the kids. And anyone that's got a kid between the ages of 12 and 18 needs intervention. And financial advisors who follow me tell me that they contact their clients and they say, that wonderful line, I'm not just here to help you plan for retirement. I'm here to guide you to the things that matter most in your life. So we're going to talk about school. Just follow these clear, easy steps, and I will be calling you to check in at key points along the way.
But it's powerful because you're paying attention to your client's life, because you're like, I know you've got John who is in 7th grade. I thought this would be applicable to some of the things we talked about. Let's schedule some more time to dive deeper. I mean, it's amazing. It's the little things that we remember about our clients and the people we work with that make a big difference.
Oh, yes. How I'm a mother. How would I feel? My financial advisor called me and said, hey, I know that Peter is in 8th grade right now. This is something I think would be great for you to pay attention to. Let's make time to talk about it. I would be like, my advisor cares about my kid and not just caring about my retirement that's way off down the line. I'm 100% on board for this.
It's leveraging your centers of influence in our industry and the people that we know that are subject matter experts. It's amazing. And I have so many things going on in my head right now where I'm like, I personally don't have my own kids. I have bonus kids, but I love it because we could have saved some time, effort, and energy while the boys were growing up with some of these things. So it's amazing. What warning signs should advisors watch for that indicate a family is about to over leverage for a child's education?
So I hear you saying what warning signs does the advisor look for as a warning the family's about to over leverage? I'll just tell you this. Every single one of them is about to over leverage.
Okay.
Every single one of them. Even the ones that say, we're going to start our kid out in community college or technical school. I promise you, they are about to make some expensive decisions because they're so emotional with love for their kids. They want to do what's going to make these kids happy, even if all logic flies out the window about finance. So they're all about to make dangerous decisions. So I would say catch them early and say, hey, let's strategize on how we can get these kids through college completely debt-free without scholarships. You always have to say without scholarships, because otherwise people think you're just going to tell the kids to apply for scholarship and they all think their kid has low grades and test scores and isn't going to get any, which is a myth. There are tons of scholarships available for kids with lower grades and test scores. I don't talk about scholarships really very much. I'm about other easier, more low-hanging fruit strategies for getting college paid for. But advisors who say, let's pay attention to this. We're going to do the easy stuff to get your kid through college debt-free without scholarships and then into a job that kid loves afterward. Because we never ever talk about college without also talking about the career it's going to lead to afterward and how we're going to get there like an arrow straight toward a bullseye.
Well, again, you're leaning on the subject matter expert. We don't have to be the master of all things. We have to build that relationship and effectively hand it over to the person that is a subject matter expert to have that conversation and come back to us so we can finish or continue the planning. We are getting close to our time together, Jeannie, and honestly, I could probably talk to you for hours. My last question, and we're going to wrap it up today for our advisors listening. If they want to incorporate smarter college planning into their annual review, because I mean, we meet with our clients every year, we review their plan, make sure it's on track and trending. What specific questions do we be asking at these checkpoints to make sure that not only is their retirement on track, but that college decision is on track?
I got a clear answer to that. So annual review, the advisor, I suggest the advisor make sure they know exactly what grade each of the kids are in. And sometimes advisors have older people that they're having these annual reviews with. And so it's not just a child question, it's a grandchild question. How old are your children? How old are your grandchildren? And then if you really want to put these people on a fast track to getting the kids through college debt-free and into jobs they love afterward, I suggest just tell them this. On my website, and I'll give it to you in a second, I have right at the top in a giant red box a video, 10-minute training video based on the kid's age. So there's one video that's for parents of 7th and 8th graders. There's one video for parents of 9th and 10th. There's one video for parents of 11th and 12th. They're 10 minutes each. They're fast-paced, they're inspiring, they're fun, they're clear. And in there, I tell parents, here's exactly what you do. You get, it does involve getting a book. You can get it for free at the library. Get a book, and here's exactly how you walk through the clear, easy steps. And a big question parents have is, oh no, I didn't find out about this until my kid was in 11th grade. I didn't do the 10th grade stuff. Should I feel bad about that? And the video says, don't even worry. Don't even feel bad. Just jump right in where you are and start moving forward. If you want to go back and read the chapters you missed, it's okay, but it's not required. And the place to send people is debtfreecollege.us. This is my website. Those 10-minute training videos are in the big red box right at the top of debtfreecollege.us. And I like this because it's so easy. People can memorize. You can memorize it so you can tell a family friend when you see them at Thanksgiving or when you see someone at soccer. Go here, watch one 10-minute training video, and you'll be on the track. And this saves advisors from having to be the person disseminating the information. The advisors can just stick with, now let's talk about how your finances are on track and how your investments are doing. Does that answer your question?
It really does, because it's like that old saying, when's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday, 30 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree, today. So what you're saying is, maybe you didn't get that 10th grade conversation in, but they're in 11th grade. You still have time to work out a plan. You still have time to look forward to not only them graduating from college happy, but you marching to retirement in the manner that you want to and look forward to, because you worked so hard your entire life to get there. And you are encouraging our advisors to be that advocate for them. I love it. And Jeannie, I probably have so many more questions I could ask you. And if people reach out to Jeannie via her website, Google her. Thank you for being on today. Debtfreecollege.us. I'm going to look at that as soon as we're off this recording. But thank you so much for being here. You enlightened me and gave me hope for the future for some of the friends and people I know going through this. Thank you so much, Jeannie. And to those of you listening, please check it out.
Thanks for tuning in to the Bucket Plan on Demand, brought to you by C2P, an organization whose purpose is to educate, train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors so families can achieve true prosperity. Subscribe today for the latest episodes and insights. Visit c2penterprises.com to learn how we can help support and enhance your advisory business. At the time of delivery and any subsequent publishing, information was deemed reliable, but is subject to change by the time of listening or viewing. The contents of this piece include options and projections of C2P, are subject to change, and are for informational purposes only. The information provided in this presentation is not intended to be individual investment, tax, or legal advice.